Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is October 19th, 2020, and we have a few things to discuss. As always, kit releases are pretty evenly split between here in the United States as well as Japan, only about 8 things in total. We do have a tease for the next upcoming Nunu hobby kit. They put out a sort of basically a built test shot that's not quite built. You'll see here in a second what I mean by that, of the new BMW M8 GTE. There was a post made by Platts, who, as you may recall, is their Japanese distributor who sort of distributes worldwide, although at this point, Nunu does distribute their own product. That's why if you look at things like Europe, there's a Platts distributor in Europe, and then there's a Nunu distributor in Europe because they have two distribution channels into mainland Europe. So at any rate, Platts, who's the Japanese distributor and probably the primary distributor of their stuff globally, put out a Twitter post this morning, actually, saying with these same pictures, saying that the kit is for release before the end of the year. Now, I am a personal, I'll believe that when I see it type of person, but it certainly gives at least a little bit of insight, if you want to call it that, into the release schedule on this, because there had been some questions as to when it would be out, and it's not on any kind of release list as of yet. But Platts being the people that distribute it, you'd hope they kind of have a vague idea of when they plan to get their kits in order to distribute them. So early 2021, in reality, let's say. So let's take a look at that. This mock-up, this collage. I know it's not going to be exactly be the easiest thing for you guys to see, especially if you're on a phone, because of the nature of this picture being a top to bottom sort of film roll type of thing, and it's not going to fit on the screen very well. But be that as it may, you can sort of squint and get the idea. There are some PE and extras in this build. This way, Nunu tends to build their demo shots with like everything for the kit. So there's like, I could clearly see there in my end where I can see this picture clearly. There's clearly PE on the brake faces. There's seat belts on the seat. The window nets that the driver safety nets that sit on each side of the seat that hook into the dashboard. Those have traditionally, in the last several releases of new products, have been on the PE sheet. There is carbon fiber decaling on the seat. There's carbon fiber decaling on the bottom of the chassis pan, and those traditionally have again been things that have been in the extra PE sets. So that all looks nice. It's curbside, obviously, but it looks like it's at least whoever put it together did a really nice job with it and managed to beat it into submission. And then the other photo we have of that would be the body. Not on the chassis, but built and painted and decaled and everything. And this is going to be the Rahal Letterman Lanigan GTE entry for the 2019 24 Hours of Daytona. The way this is decaled, it has the Godspeed Charley thing on the back for the team principal Charley, who died between his retirement after the Gia race of Gia race of Macau, but the FIA GT Macau Cup at the end of 2018, and the 24 Hours of Daytona in 2019 actually died the week before the 24 Hours, which is why if you've noticed any BMWs throughout 2019 season had a message of Godspeed Charley on them someplace. So anyway, that looks really nice. I want. We've been already between me and several of your main suspects in the decal game, if it were, have been discussing and spitballing ideas for the other liveries. There's not a lot of them because the M8 is not a customer racing car the way the M6 is, so it is only factory supported, and it only has run in either IMSA or FIA WEC, which is the World Endurance Series, which of course is the series of 24 Hours of Le Mans runs under. So, or runs with, I guess technically 24 Hours of Le Mans is its own thing with its own regulation body, but it runs under the FIA WEC calendar. So there would obviously be the option of doing the FIA WEC liveries. The cars are pretty much the same as far as the actual sponsorships. They just have different placards for the DHL placards for the actual WEC season, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans placards for that race specifically. There's a Stars and Stripes version of the M8 that was run at the 2018 6 Hours of Selene at the Glen up in Watkins Glen for the 4th of July. There's also the liveries that the car's running in 2020, where the one car's white and the one car's black. And at the Petit Le Mans this weekend that just happened, the 25 car, which is what you saw on the screen there, was actually a red car, and the other one was black. And they were Modal sponsored for that last race of the IMSA series. So yeah, there's not a lot of decal options there, but there are a few things. Definitely would want a 24 Hours of Le Mans one. I don't know so much about the FIA WEC specifically. If it was offered on the same sheet, it's like cool. If not, I would have to look into if the car's ever podium, or but not so much podium, but won a FIA WEC race to want to build one specifically. 24 Hours of Le Mans sort of goes into that 24 Hours of Le Mans collection that most people have, and then the car's done well at IMSA a number of times, and it's the car has pretty much looked the same. It has the corporate logo, which is what you saw there on the screen as far as the M8 livery, and there have been tweaks here and there for certain races, but primarily, other than the 4th of July scheme and this past Petit Le Mans scheme, it really hasn't been a lot going on. But it's enough to sell a few, a few more than just the one that most people would actually buy. And that takes us into kit releases. So let's take a look at the domestic stuff. It is round 2 in nature, as you would probably expect. It is all AMT this week. So first up, you have the reissue of this, the dubious "why are we doing this" continuation of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift reissues without any kind of Fast and the Furious tie-ins. This is a 95 Toyota Supra. It's full detail. It's the wrong scale. It's a permanent Targa top. You cannot... it's not going to have a roof on it. There's a removable roof piece, which I suppose if you bonded it on the right way may kind of sort of look like it's on there, but it's a Targa roof. It's very, very specific to what it was supposed to be impersonating. It didn't do a particularly good job of impersonating it. This kit got released in Japan in an Aoshima box, and the Japanese pretty much lost their minds because, well, they were expecting a 124 scale, Aoshima kit, and instead they got this hot mess instead. And, it is, again, that, oh, hey, Racing Champions, we're going to make model kits, even though we're a diecast company. Oh, are you? Great. Yeah, there's a reason why they don't still own the company. They've drawn up new decals for this, of course, because the original decals would be violating some sort of movie copyright, and I really don't have anything good to say about any of these, and there's still another one coming, so let's just move on. The truck and trailer guys, I guess, will be happy with this, although they probably have bought both pieces by now. It is the sort of revitalization of the original, if you will, construction bulldozer and lowboy trailer kit. When this was done back in the 70s, this was offered as a combination kit. It's never been offered together since then, although the bulldozer and the lowboy have been reissued a number of times since then, most recently, in the last 5 years or so. So, yeah, I don't know how many people were like, oh, dang, now I need to sell my individual kits and buy this one. It is a huge box because obviously it has both kits inside of it, 500 parts. It still is not Caterpillar liveried, if you will, because that license just costs too much. I like the box art in the general sense that you have the Jimmy and the Gear Hustler El Camino in the background for the Universal Construction Series. I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be pulling it. It looks like the Peterbilt 359 California, but yeah, it's there. It's fun. It's molded in a couple different colors, yellow, obviously. So if you happen to not have bought these, and not have built them, and you can sell them, I guess, then there's an option for you. I don't know how many of these they're gonna move because, again, if you wanted one or the other, you would have bought them both and combined them yourself by now, maybe, I guess. It'll certainly harken to box art collectors because this is pretty much the original box art from the 1970s. But yeah, okay, whatever. And then last for this week is this. It is the AMT American LaFrance Ladder Chief. As we mentioned in the monthly compilation, this is the only one of the American LaFrance kits that had not been reissued by round 2. They had done the Aero Chief. They had done the straight pumper. This has what they're calling authentically reproduced decals. So, of course, you can, flush out your City of Troy fire department from back when AMT was up in Troy, Michigan. I appreciate this box art because you look at this, what's going on here, and you've got these two guys on the left who are, running a hand line at this inferno in this store. It looks like the whole block is on fire. I'm assuming this is a Detroit riot. And you have two guys on the back here one of whom I guess is going to be the guy who runs up the ladder, and the other guy's operating the ladder, and then you have the guy inside looking. I don't know at what. He's not really looking in the mirror. He's like looking. I don't know. Maybe the ride is actively going on beside him. But why is he holding on to the steering wheel like that? The outriggers are down on the truck, so it ain't going nowhere. If he steps on the gas, it's just going to spin the axle and scare the crap out of everyone around him, probably including him. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it made sense to whoever drew it back in the day, but it's a little bit of a not how you'd operate a fire vehicle, piece of apparatus. Both the spotlights are on, just shining off into the distance in front of the vehicle. It's managed to catch the four-way flashers on. It's very interesting, not quite real fire scene. But anyway, I'm just picking on it because A, been a volunteer firefighter, and B, I just think it's that with 20 years of driving a truck, it's just like, who drew this? This is not how this would work in real life. But it's a cool kit in the sense of all those American LaFrance kits, sort of sit together as a collection, and that was the one that hadn't been done. So now, if you wanted minty fresh decals and all that, you got it. Waiting on you. So going overseas to Japan, we have a couple of reissues from Aoshima, a modified reissue from Hasegawa, and the Campus Friends are out from Tamiya. So let's take a look at those since I just mentioned them. And it's just, here we go. Campus Friends Set 2. This is the new modern tooled. The original ones are from 1980. So this is the brand new tooled version. These figures are new. It's got the new Yamaha Vino scooter in it included. There are a couple options with some various things here. You can do the young lady who's holding the helmet. You can put the helmet in her hands or not. She does sort of lean against the scooter as far as her sculpt goes. The gentleman, there's only one dude in this whole set. The gentleman has a couple different, literally two, a couple different faces you can put on him. The girl with the backpack sort of has the backpack straps molded into her, so she's kind of stuck wearing the backpack, but you can do her with long hair with ball cap on, or a short hair version, and the girl's taking the selfie in the background. They're throwing the peace sign. Also have arm positions where they can hold up cups of coffee and take that selfie, because Starbucks, and so there's a couple of little options here. They don't, give you a little bit of freedom. The faces on a couple of the sculpts are a little more Western with the optional faces, so that's kind of nice. They don't all have to be Japanese necessarily, and it makes some cool dioramas. And I mean, it's almost we're buying for the little scooter just to have again as a diorama piece, because a 124 scale Yamaha scooter is going to be about this big. But anyway, that was always sort of the draw of the original Campus Friends set, because it had a scooter in it as well. So that's out over at Aoshima. We'll just run through these real quick because they're just straight reissues. You have the Rodex style Nissan S15 Silvia reissue. And then in the initial D line, boxed with the 25th anniversary logos on them. So, new kits, right? You have the Project D version of the AE86 Truno. This, of course, is the slightly modified version of the Tofu race car, as it were. It has the racing seat. It has the replacement AE 101 Group A race car version of the engine included. AE 101 being a two model year later Corolla, which we'll take a look at here in a second, because we actually have a Group A 101 to look at. And it's got some other bits and pieces in terms of making it a little bit sportier. This is sort of the midpoint of this car in its history. The kit itself is the same kit it's always been. It just has the new anniversary box art. And like I said, it does have an engine insert in it. And then you have this, which, let me get I always forget this guy's name, because there's a couple of them, and they're brothers, and I don't want to mess who's who up. Then you have the Takahashi Ryosuke FD3S, or is it an FD3S? It's an FC3S, not an FD. FC3S RX-7. This one does have an engine insert for the 13B. 25th anniversary box art is pretty much the only difference between this and other reissues of it in the past. It is JDM right-hand drive only. So there is that. And then lastly, from Japan this week is this. This is a reissue of a Group A AE 101 Toyota Corolla 11 with the Trust Wed Sport livery on it. So this kit is significant if you want to call it that. Some people don't consider these Japanese cars at all interesting, so they're not significant at all. But for those of us who do, this has two new sets of wheels tooled up for it. The front sort of bowed out 5 spokes, and then the multi-spoke rear wheels. Again, we've explained this a couple of times, but we'll go over it one more time for in case you haven't been new. And if you are new, hey, welcome. These are front-wheel drive cars, obviously, so they have a heavy-duty wheel on the drive wheel and then a lightweight wheel on the rear wheel because it's just a dead spinning wheel back there. So this actually gives you 2 whole sets of these wheels. They are, I believe, staggered in the sense that the front wheels are slightly narrower than the rear wheels. At least that's the way they appear. This came out right after I shipped my most recent Hobby Link Japan box, so it's not going to be over here probably until Thanksgiving, maybe later. But in the meantime, the wheels are the only thing, obviously the decals. The wheels are the only things new about this kit, but it does give them obviously the opportunity to mix and match wheel sets in order to do other AE 101s or other Civics probably, because the Civics probably use the same sets of wheels. But like I said, you get 2. The sprue is like a little narrow Hasegawa wheel sprue, the way they tend to be, and it has 2 of the front wheels and 2 of the back wheels on it, and they give you 2 sets of those. So you have basically 4 front wheels, 4 rear wheels. So you have basically a whole nother set of rims included. So I don't know if there's something that they've done in the past that didn't have the right wheels that now you could make right, or you just have, cool, I have a set of wheels to use on another project. But be that as it may, that is out. It's a very easy livery as far as decaling it goes. The truss stripes are all decals. It's split from basically the stripe that goes under the B pillar, C pillar window down to the bottom of the car is one piece. Then the part that goes over top is a separate piece. So you're not trying to, they don't quite touch at the back of the window, so you don't have to like try to put a big, huge decal on. And then there's a little spot for the hood. And otherwise, it's just words that get stuck on in various places. It's a white card. The decals do the stripes and all the words, and pretty much you're ready to roll. So if that is something that would interest you in terms of opening your hearts and minds to Japanese racing, it's certainly an easy livery. It's a white car, nothing crazy about it. So anyway, guys, that wraps this week up. As far as the kit releases, we're going to, on the way out here, take a look at some brand new decal sets that are either been released or about to be released from SK and LB. Your Hong Kong initial providers, as it were. So, like I said, hope you guys had a great weekend. And we'll take a look here first at the SK decals. So these decal sets are out. You can order them directly from Frankie, or if that doesn't work for you because they still can't ship it to your location because of Rona, there will be, they'll be going into, they're already out at Hobby Easy. They'll get sent to Spot Model. They'll get sent to other places as well. So first up, you have the 2017 24 Hours of Spa winning Audi R8 for the team Santa Lock. The French team won that year, so there's that livery scheme. And then we have several decal sheets that will be coming out. I don't have anything to do with these. He has several decal sheets coming out for the new BMW 320 E46 kit. So first up, you have the 2002 Ghia Race of Macau team Carly Motors. Now, this decal sheet, I'm just showing you one, but this decal sheet will make all 3 cars that they raced that year. The only real difference between them are the color of the mirrors and some other little, there's a couple of decals that are color, like the windshield bands and stuff like that. They change color, but this is pretty much, this livery scheme is universal throughout. They just sort of change colors with, like I said, the mirror caps and things like that. But it is the Park and Shop, which I like. I like that livery because here in the United States, if you're out here on the East Coast, you have a restaurant chain here based out of Pittsburgh called Eaton Park, which I always thought was sort of a reverse version of how that works, right? You park and ride, you park and shop, you eat and park. So this is a to-go place? No, it's a sit-down restaurant. So there's that one. Then you have the 2003 version of the Ghia Race of Macau Team Carly. So again, this more traditional Watson's livery, because most Watson cars, if you've ever seen them, are numbered 1, 2, and 3, rather than like 23, 24, 25. So this is a 1, 2, 3 thing. So again, this will build 3 different cars, depending on what driver you want to make. They did win this race with I believe this car might be the number 1 car. But anyway, so the Watson's livery standard charter is a telecommunications company over there. And then you have this one, which is back to 2002. It is the Team Schubert Racing 320, which again is Watson's Water and sort of the more traditional BMW checkerboard thing. If you know your 1990s BMW 318s and 320s, this was a very popular thing on the Team Schnitzer car where they had those, and it was used in Europe and everywhere, but the little sort of checkered flag pattern on the rear quarter panel, so that makes a comeback for this. So those, like I said, those 4 sets of decals are all out now. You can order them. Again, direct SK decals, look up SK decals on Facebook. That last Watson car only makes that one car. It was the only one the Team Schubert ran that year. And then over at LB Production, we have this set of R8 decals, and this is the Land Motorsports Monoplast sponsored car from 2016. This will make the the ADAC GT Masters champion or the VLN champion. The VLN being the Nuremberg only racing series, and they were dual champions that year. It's the first time that's ever happened, as far as I know, where they won both German racing series. Basically, the livery is more or less the same for both, as you can see, just different windshield bands and slightly different associate sponsorships. But that's a cool sort of 2-in-1. They're both the same decal sheet. You build one or the other out of them. So that's cool. I'm always a big fan of, and I've been with these guys pushing like multiple use decal sheets, because the original plan was to do the ADAC one, and the question came up like, was there anything else we could do with this? And it's similar to a livery that's used in IMSA in the early part of 2017, but it's not quite the same. But the VLN livery was exactly the same, just with different tire sponsorships and number boards and drivers and stuff like that. So that's a very easy conversion without having to worry about it. So that'll be coming out. And then one of the promised liveries from the sort of introduction of LB Production, not rhymed unintentionally, is this 24 Hours of Dubai 2020 Team Hong Kong Craft Bamboo AMG. Somebody asked me the other day if Zung Fu was like Kung Fu. Actually, Zung Fu is the commercial and also just regular Mercedes-Benz authorized dealer in Hong Kong. They also distribute Hyundai in Hong Kong, which is a very interesting like dealer combination, right? Come for the AMG, leave with the Elantra, right? So this is a gold car. This will be a very fun car to do in decal wise, because it's a lot of gold foil decals coming on this one. And then we have this, which is kind of a fun thing. Tomica is doing several. One little 1/64 scale, I guess. I think that's what Tomica is. They're matchbox size. And that's not technically 1/64 scale. It's somewhere like a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, depending on which. But anyway, they're doing several liveries on Hondas, Nissans, and Toyotas for Tomica's 50th anniversary. And so they're doing this one for Nissan. And this harkens back to the 1980s Group 5 Super Silhouette Nissans that ran with the red over black liveries. We just talked about the Group 5 9 Hours of Kalami car. It looks a lot like this. Next month, there'll be the actual Super Silhouette Skyline reissue that looks exactly like this. So this is their 50th anniversary livery, and something that that LB decided to do. So it's a cool just, it's a livery, but it's not a race car kind of thing. I think that'll be appealing to a lot of people, especially people who are old enough to remember this scheme when it was new. So it'll be a throwback. And then last thing from them, and this is going to be 2 different decal sheets, but it's both for the new 320E46 new kit. On the far left, you have the European Touring Car Championship champion car for 2001. BMW Team Germany. That car could be built one of 2 different cars, but the championship car is in there. And then on the right are your 2 options for the Schubert Motorsports car. It has the Dutch Touring, or the Deutsch Touring. I think it's Dutch. I think it's the Deutsch Touring Championship. So this is a German Touring Championship on the left, and the far right is the Gia race for 2001. You see the deliveries are pretty much identical, just windshield headers and some very small associated sponsorship differences, and the number placards, obviously. He actually got in contact with Mr. What is it? It's Gersh, I believe, That's how you pronounce that. Got in contact with that gentleman who drove the cars, and he came through with a bunch of photos of the cars, when they were run in real time, and that was very cool to see that sort of assistance from a race driver, race team in making decals for a model car. It's something I've not really seen too much of in the course of time, but it was very cool to see somebody step up and be like, yeah, it'd be great. I think it'd be cool to have some model car of my race car I raced, 19 years ago. Here, have all the photos you want of it. So the Audi set should be out at the end of this month and the end of October, and the Nissan Tomica set and the three sets of decals for, two sets of decals. Yeah, it's 3 cars. 2 sets of decals for the 320 will be all out at the end of November. So coming soon to a bench near you. So we will enjoy those because we are decal hoarders here at the Stash Project. Someday we're going to build them all. Anyway, guys, that wraps this one up. Hope you had a great one. See you guys on the other side.